At the beginning of the story, Kawaii City, Kanagawa Harbor, an old fisherman is knitting his nets. Suddenly, the car in front of him that was parked came out of smoke, and a hand appeared. The car exploded. He immediately called for help. A professional boxing match in the women's ring class. It was the opening match. Both fighters entered the arena. This girl named Ran Tachibana. She debuted very well, undefeated in 3 fights, and tonight she won another first-round knockout. Her coach, Tabata Hitoshi, was praised by the Japanese boxing director. The fighter has good talent. Maybe she can become a champion someday. Tabata approached the girl, telling her to rest. He was confident Ran's boxing career would shine in the future. Ran went back to Tabata's gym. She also lived in the club. There were many pictures on the wall. There was a picture of her only sister, Yuzuki Takebana. They had been abandoned by their parents since childhood. Yuzuki lived with her aunt. Ran sent a message that her sister didn't reply to. In her heart, this girl was determined to be a champion. This girl had high spirits. Her work ethic was incredible. The Tabata gym was struggling to pay the electricity bill. Suddenly, the phone rang from the police. Ran's face looked very shocked. It turned out that Ran was approached by her aunt and uncle, who immediately cried to welcome Ran. That day, Ran received dark and sad news. It turned out that in the burning car at the harbor was her younger sister, Yuzuki. Detective Suzuki Masato said that a student card was found in the car. The doctor uncovered the body, and it was in a horrible state. Police concluded that according to forensics, the car was sprayed with perfume and then set on fire from the inside. They concluded that Yuzuki committed suicide. Ran couldn't believe it. Captain Oishi Yoshiyuki, the chief detective, brought the DNA test results. The results were 99% accurate. It was her sister. Her cell phone was also found in the car. Ran still couldn't believe it. She saw the body again. Ran is convinced that this is not her sister. Yuzuki's teeth are knocked out on the top right. This body is different. The police tried to give her understanding. Captain Oishi Yoshiyuki gave her advice to accept this fact. Ran still didn't accept it. She walked out of the room. Masato wanted to talk to Ran, but was prevented by his captain. His captain said to handle this as a suicide case. Ran was angry with her aunt for not informing her about the DNA test. Her sister was kept by them, but because of her sister, they also got child support. Her uncle accused Ran of abandoning her sister. He was the one who fed her after Ran left. Ran, who didn't accept those words, finally scolded him back. Ran scolded her uncle for spending her sister's child support money on gambling. Then she left by kicking a nearby item. Ran confided in her coach. The coach offered his condolences. Ran said that 2 weeks ago, her sister came to the gym with food. Yuzuki had gotten the food after a blood donation, but their life was not good. Sometimes when her uncle was drunk, he would throw things and bruise her cheeks. Ran promised that if she became the champion, they would rent an apartment and live together. That night, her sister stayed over, but she didn't hear from her again after that. Her coach encouraged her to move on with her life. Ran went to her aunt's house and organized her sister's things. She was going to take it with her. That's when she accidentally found an ID card that read Junin Group. That day, Ran found out Junin Group was an office district and a luxury mall. She went downstairs. It was Junin's executive nightclub. At first, Ran was confused to knock the door, and she realized the card was the key. Ran went inside. There were many scantily clad women. As she continued to enter, it turned out that the club was not yet open. The waiters were busy cleaning the place. The bodyguards asked her how she got in. They didn't hear Ran's words and rudely kicked her out. A big man named Kido asked what happened. Ran showed him a picture of her sister, but they still kicked her out. Ran resisted and showed her ID card, but the man threw it away. This man said, "Why is she looking for a dead person?" But Ran never said her sister was dead, so she became suspicious. The big man got angry and beat Ran up. Without further ado, he threw her and knocked Ran unconscious. The bespectacled waitress saw it all. Ran, who had passed out, was taken out. Before that, she was given drugs. They would make her overdose and then throw her in the trash. Ran finally wake up. She was in the room of a strange man who was busy at his computer. This man said that Ran was drugged. She almost didn't survive. Luckily, he had the antidote and the medicine, then rescued her from the trash and brought her here. The man said his name was Naruse Shuji. The man gave Ran some food. Ran asked who he was. Naruse immediately said, wasn't Ran looking for her sister named Yuzuki, as he showed a shocking video. The video of her sister in the lobby of the Junin Group Mall. This video was taken 3 days after the news of her sister's death, meaning her sister might still be alive. Naruse said that if they faked her death, she was very important to them. Naruse also explained what the Junin Group was, a famous company. Its leaders came from the noble class of the Japanese Empire. The club she entered earlier was a club only for wealthy members. Naruse knew that her sister had been frequenting the nightclub for the past few months, as she worked as a waitress there. A man named Azuma Kintaro had brought her. Ran wondered why Nasuin knew all that. Naruse explained that the Junin Group looked like an ordinary corporate company from the outside, but their money came from the garage, a modern free fighting venue. Fighters come from all over the world. In the past, his father's gym went bankrupt, so his father was offered to become a garage fighter, so his debts would be repaid. His father used to be a Brazilian jiu-jitsu champion, but one day he drowned in a river. The police said he was drunk and fell, but Naruse knew his father never drank. From then on, Naruse was determined to destroy Junin Group. Ran may believe him or not, but he will help her. The scene moves to a board of directors meeting. Some of the attendees are Junin Group officials. He is a deputy director, Shiraishi Seiichiro, who was the current chairman and interim leader, after the old leader recently passed away. Soon, the successor meeting will begin. They must know who to support. Before long, someone arrived. This person was Nikaido Haruki, the director of the Garage Club, Junin Group's free battle arena. Shiraishi came to see Haruki. Shiraishi wants Haruki to focus on making a lot of money from the garage. He must find a way to increase his money again. Haruki has been working with this family for a long time. He is an ambitious former fighter. Keep supporting him. Don't try to switch to the other side. With the video evidence Ran got from Naruse, Ran brought it to Detective Masato and Captain Oishi. But these police captains felt that this evidence was not enough. It could have been edited. Ran still hallucinated that her sister was alive. This illegal evidence could not be submitted. It made Ran disappointed. The evidence was clear, but still rejected by the police. Ran was furious and angry. This girl promised to find the evidence by herself. However, Detective Masato found this case interesting. This officer was an honest policeman. He also felt there was something strange about this case. In the end, Officer Masato asked his colleague, Handa Kanako, for help in retrieving the forensic report evidence. That night, Ran made a decision. She would leave the gym to look for her sister. It turned out that her trainer had given her a new boxing glove. Then the girl just left. In the morning, Tabata's coach came to his office. He saw the boxing glove and the letter Ran left behind. Ran apologized. She had to leave. If she comes back, she will wear this boxing glove again. The scene moves to the garage arena. Kido turns out to be the defending champion fighter in the garage arena. He is seen beating his opponent. Haruki's right-hand man, Azuma, brought something, a video of Ran running mad action in the club. An amateur boxer who had made her debut, her record undefeated. Azuma reported that Kido Yude had caused trouble, knocking the girl unconscious and throwing her away. Azuma was worried about the girl going to the police because the garage arena was also having a hard time because betting money was down. Haruki also met Kido, who had just finished fighting. All cleaning was told to leave. Haruki scolded Kido for making stupid actions. Haruki also invited him to duel, but Kido knew how scary this person was. Kido apologized and suddenly attacked. He immediately lost. Haruki was angry. Kido was incompetent in managing Yuzuki's case, even making his sister more suspicious. This person was made unconscious. Later, Deputy Director Shiraishi came to the place. He wanted to check on Garage's condition. Shiraishi didn't expect this place to be a money-making place. He heard Haruki had bought a large piece of land on the edge of town and warned him not to try to open a business like the garage anywhere else. Shiraishi knew Haruki had big ambitions, so he was even more wary of this guy. At a motorcycle repair and sales shop on the outskirts of town, a group of young men come in with a motorcycle. They wanted to sell it. After being checked by the owner of the workshop named Kamina-shun, he rejected it. This is because the motorcycle brought by the group of young men was stolen. The GPS box had been damaged. It made these punks want to go somewhere else. Kamina held him back. He was going to call the police. These guys wanted to beat him up, but they had the wrong guy. Kamina was apparently a martial arts expert. Soon, a girl walked in there, and it turned out to be Ran. She told her what happened to her sister. As it turned out, Kamiya was her ex-boyfriend. They hadn't seen each other for 3 years. Kamiya was the one Ran could ask for help. Ran was sure Yuzuki was still alive. She had asked the police for help, but to no avail. Kamiya lived in this workshop. Kamiya took her to an old bus that had been converted into a room. Ran could stay here for a while. Meanwhile, Naruse was tracking and searching for evidence of Junin group crimes. He managed to track down boss Haruki's right-hand man, Azuma. Meanwhile, Ran was on the bus, looking at something on her ex's car rack. There was a pair of knuckle braces. Suddenly, Kamiya walked in, telling her to take off the knuckle brace. That's what made them split up in the first place. Kamiya used to be a criminal because of that. He invited Ran to eat out. Ran tells him that she has a partner who will help her track down Yuzuki. Naruse boldly followed Azuma in a taxi. Ran, who has fallen asleep, is called by Naruse. He gives her the address. She borrows Kamiya's motorcycle and sets off. They were already in front of the factory. Naruse, suspecting Azuma, was also dealing drugs on orders from his boss Haruki. The man was already inside. Ran wasted no time getting into a factory filled with guards. Ran told Naruse to wait, while he would go downstairs to look for evidence. Apparently, this was where they destroyed the fighters who died in the garage arena. Ran went inside and saw a man named Azuma trading drugs with a made-up man named Naga. It turned out that in addition to drugs, this Naga was also a distributor of young girls whom they deceived and blackmailed and sold to officials. Ran almost got caught, but she was caught by a guard. With no choice, the girl fought and escaped. Her fist skills came in handy. The gangsters were beaten. Since there were too many of them, Ran found it difficult. Luckily, Kamiya came to help, and Naruse had decent skills, as his father was also a former fighter. Azuma came to attack Ran. She wasn't going to get away today. Luckily, Ran brought her knuckle. Azuma could guess her identity. She was Yuzuki's sister. Ran was pushed back. Luckily, Kamiya came to help her. Before leaving, Naruse took something from Azuma's body. Ran, who had injuries, was taken by Kamiya. Ran also felt that this action was too dangerous. She imagined the past when Yuzuki said, if anything happened to her, she could not live. Ran was even more convinced that her sister was still alive. She would save her. At the Scifi police station, Handa met Masato. She had gotten Yuzuki's forensic records from her friend in forensics. As expected, the body wasn't Yuzuki Tachibana. The question was why Commander Oishi had falsified her DNA records. Handa said Yuzuki's blood type is very unique, called Urhanol. Only a few people in the world have it. This blood type is also referred to as golden blood. Just then, Captain Oishi arrived. They continued through cell phone messages. Handa apologized. She couldn't come anymore because she was too scared. But Detective Masato still wanted to investigate. His sense of justice couldn't hold this case back. Ran, who was being treated by Kamiya, got news that her friend Naruse was also fine, and she got a clue about Yuzuki. Actually, Kamiya was very worried about Ran. He was afraid of what would happen to Ran. Kamiya suggested they find the police and report the matter. That made Ran angry, feeling that Kamiya didn't believe her that Yuzuki was still alive. Nikaido Haruki, Garage's boss, was furious to get a report from Azuma that their entire gang couldn't catch 3 people. It turned out that Commander Oishi was also involved in Haruki's gang. Haruki scolded this commander. He had paid a lot for all this time. Haruki also threatened if the Commander Oishi couldn't work, Haruki would find another police officer to replace him. His task now was to finish off Ran Tachibana, Yuzuki's sister. But the commander was hesitant and afraid he couldn't do it, and Haruki did something cruel to him. This was a warning to Commander Oishi that he had to do the job right if people were paying so much. Haruki had another way. He wanted Azuma to find the girl, bring the girl boxer to fight in their garage arena, arrange a match with Kido. Naruse also came to Kamiya's workshop. He had managed to retrieve all the data on Azuma's cell phone. With this evidence, they can report to the police. Suddenly, a call came into the number. Ran decided to pick it up. It was from Azuma. They would allow her to meet with her sister. The condition was to return his cell phone and all the photos that had been taken. If she went to the police station and reported on all of this, Yuzuki would really be dead. Azuma gave out the address. Ran came to the factory area in a harbor. Azuma was waiting for her. They would return her sister if she fought in the garage. Her opponent was the big man, Kido. If she won, they would return her sister. If she lost, she and her sister would be in their hands forever. Ran asked where her sister was, but Yuzuki was already in the car, and the car drove away. Azuma said she could train for 2 weeks to prepare. She'd better get ready. Ran was allowed to use her knuckles. If she reported to the police, she would never see her sister again. Azuma left ID card to enter. Ran confided in Kamiya. Kamiya was very anxious and worried. There was no way Ran could win. They'd better report to the police. But Ran disagreed. Her sister's life was at stake. Naruse had a different opinion. From Azuma's cell phone, he found a record of names and bets. If Ran entered the arena, he would hack in and steal the betting money. It would be used for negotiations with Jun inside. Kamiya, who was worried about Ran, got angry at Naruse. This was too dangerous. Ran stopped Kamiya. For her sister, she would do anything, even she would fight. Detective Masato came to Tabata's gym to see Ran, but the girl had also disappeared. Coach Tabata showed him the message Ran left when she go. The trainer pleaded with Masato to find Ran. As he exited the gym, a young man was waiting for him. The young man turned out to be Naruse. He was going to lead him on the Yuzuki Tachibana case. Seeing Ran training alone, Kamiya couldn't focus on his work. Finally, Kamiya decided to help Ran and started throwing rocks at her. In the garage arena, there were no rules. Ran's weight and her opponents were so different. They needed a plan to win. He would help her train. Kamiya attacked her and started training Ran. He, who was a former fighter, wanted to use his speed against her to tire her out. Ran practiced very hard. Kamiya was merciless in making Ran work hard. During these 2 weeks, Ran did not waste her days. She trained very hard. The day of the battle was approaching. Kamiya made something that she would wear on the day of the battle. This was why boss Haruki was holding Yuzuki. They originally intended to sell this girl, but after finding out her blood was rare, they had other intentions. Very coincidentally, the old director of Junin Group, who had passed away, had the same blood as her. Junin Group used golden blood as a password for their secret accounts, and Yuzuki's blood matched with it. Garage director Haruki, intent on robbing Junin Group's secret account. Detective Masato went to Naruse's house. Naruse showed all the evidence of Junin Group's crimes from Azuma's cell phone. Even Naruse could access the location of Garage's secret place. Masato wants to report to the office. He will bring a warrant. Naruse warns him there are traitors in the police force who helping the Junin Group. They better sneak in on the day of Ran's battle and look for irresistible evidence. Masato agreed. He told his friend Info Handa and said contact him if anything happened. The day of the fight arrived. The two sneaked through the air vents, and Ran, accompanied by Kamiya, came to Junin's executive club. People were partying. 2 girls greeted Ran. They would take her to director Azuma. These 2 had also sneaked in. Azuma had reprimanded them. Finally, they reached the garage arena. The club was a direct access to the underground of the garage arena. They arrived at the basement. It was the hallway for fighters. All the spectators were waiting for this match. They were shouting. Azuma reported to his boss. Everything was ready. The 2 men made it to the place, but unfortunately, there was no signal there. There was a guard they saw and took out. The 2 men continued to move towards the server room, and they managed to enter. Naruse managed to find the main server. He would copy the data and start the process. Masato was also on the move. he would try to find other evidence. Kamiya helped Ran prepare. Kamiya told Ran to stay focused, don't forget to use her speed. Haruki ordered to start the match. Kido, 2 years undefeated in the garage arena. His opponent is a female boxer who wants to save her sister. With the stakes bet for Ran at 30-1, the girls began the countdown. Both fighters were ready to enter the arena, and the fight began. Ran looked focused, she opened her stance, and they started to attack each other. It looked like Kido underestimated Ran. With her speed, Ran started to hit this guy, but she failed. Kido's strong strength worked in his favor. Ran was pushed back. Ran didn't want to give up now. Again, she was pinned and slammed. Everyone cheered, expecting Ran to lose, but she still managed to fight back. Now that Ran's position was really precarious, Kido used his body weight. This guy said he was going to have some fun before finishing Ran off. Kamiya yelled from outside for Ran to use his legs and knees, even his head and elbows. Finally, Ran broke free of the defense position and managed to counter with her kneeling fists until Kido went down. The crowd not expecting Kido to lose. Ran kicked the man furiously. Kamiya yelled stop, that guy could get killed. Moreover, the audience shouted encouraging her to finish Kido. Ran realized that she was not the killer. Back downstairs, Masato wants to take one of the security camera's main hard drives. Suddenly the radio goes off. Someone is coming to check the server room. Fortunately, Masato managed to take the hard drive. With this, Junin group could not avoid anymore, and Naruse was also finished. Suddenly Masato was pointed at. It was Commander Oishi. Oishi scolded him. The case was closed. Why did he persist? Masato replied, he was the police and this detective was eliminated. Naruse could only watch from afar. Oishi walked through the server room. He was sure Masato wasn't alone. That's when the radio beeped. It was Azuma. Someone had reported to the police about the activity here. Haruki entered the arena and ordered Ran to finish off Kido. The match wouldn't end until someone was killed. Ran refused. Haruki killed his own man with his sword. The body was removed. Ran was angry, so Haruki had to keep his promise. The cunning Haruki refused. Ran didn't kill her opponent, so his promise was void. Ran cursed and wanted to fight back, but her strength was gone. Haruki laughed at her. Ran really couldn't fight back. That's when Azuma came in and told his boss. The police had moved into the garage. Someone had leaked today's match. Haruki left, ordering Azuma to finish off Ran and his friend. Just then, Naruse made it there. He quickly broke the lock, and they were able to enter the arena. Kamiya dragged Ran away from there. Azuma and his men were waiting. There was no choice, they had to fight to get out of here. Luckily, Kamiya managed to hold the elevator, told them to get on, and the police got there. Deputy Director Shirishi was furious about the mess at the garage. He had his men twist the news, pay off the media, and the news of the garage raid hit the media. They found Yudai Kido's body and a murdered officer, Suzuki Masato. The police are currently tracking down the 2 men and 1 woman who were caught on CCTV. Handa, who could not bear to see his colleague Masato die, he met Commander Oishi and showed the DNA test results. He already knew Oishi manipulated the Yuzuki Tachibana case. If he doesn't turn himself in and surrender, Handa will leak this. This man was angry and threatened this girl. Oishi rushed out of his office. He wanted to call Azuma for an update, but there was no answer. That's when someone passed by, injuring his hand with a powerful poison. Garage didn't want Oishi to open his mouth. It was better to finish him off. These 3 were forced into hiding. Now, Ran, Kamiya, and Naruse accused of Kido and Officer Masato's murders. Suddenly there was a sound. Apparently the hiding place was a boat belonging to a friend of Coach Tabata. He came with food he would leave. Before that he said, if they needed anything, contact him. Haruki wanted to enter his office, but it was already occupied by Vice Director Shirishi. All his men were taken down, and Azuma was already there. This person was angry. Because of this incident, the VIP members of Junin Garage Club decreased by 50%. This was Haruki's responsibility for not being careful. The garage has been exposed and raided by the police. There must be a scapegoat. And this person also knows that he used the rare blood of a girl named Yuzuki to secretly access Junin Group's account. He had taken 300 billion yen and was sure to escape. But Haruki was very fast. He finished off Sureishi's bodyguard, and Sureishi was too late to pull his gun. He was finished off by Azuma from behind. Finally, Naruse got the data on why these people were holding Yuzuki. They used her blood to open the Chunin Group Haraj account. It was a coincidence that the old leader's blood was used as encryption for the Chunin Group's secret account. His blood turned out to be the same as Yuzuki. The account could only be accessed by Yuzuki's blood. Naruse deactivated the secret account. He managed to create a code to open the account and handed it over to Ran. This would be useful for negotiations to free his sister. Suddenly there was a sound. Kamiya checked up. Suddenly there were people attacking him. It was Haruki's men. They managed to injure Kamiya. The place was locked from the outside. Ran and Naruse tried to open it. Kamiya was already wounded in the neck. Naruse immediately called for help. Ran shouted for Kamiya. Kamiya told her to go. Yuzuki was waiting for her. Kamiya said, "Hurry up, go and help her." Ran hoped Kamiya would survive. She went to Kamiya's workshop and cried bitterly. She was alone. A call from Naruse came in. Kamiya wasn't dead. He was still in a coma. Pray for him. Ran asked Naruse for Azuma's location. She would go end this by herself. Azuma was preparing a ship for his boss to go abroad. When he got into the car, his men had passed out and Ran was already there ambushing him and turned the gun on him, telling him to contact his boss. Ran asked for a deal from this guy, telling him to check his secret account. They had deactivated it. Haruki immediately checked it. He was furious that the account was locked. The deal was to return Yuzuki. He would give the code. Haruki agreed. He would send the location. Handa, who was still in the office, suddenly received an email. This person claimed to be named Naruse. He had evidence of Chunin Group's crimes. All the evidence was attached in the room near the port. This is Haruki's secret headquarters, connected to an underground room. Azuma took Ran inside and Yuzuki was waiting for him. The lights were turned off, making Azuma turn around to ambush her. Haruki's hands were already around Yuzuki's neck. Haruki refused to give up her sister. He wanted to duel with Ran. Inevitably, Ran finally met and accepted this man's challenge. If she could defeat him, he would return her sister. Ran attacked him, but Haruki was a pro fighter. Ran had a hard time fighting him. The girl tried everything, but she kept getting beat up. Yuzuki shouted, "Please stop this." Haruki said Ran was stupid to bet with him and come here. Ran is exhausted. Haruki is furious because Ran destroying his garage arena. Haruki orders Azuma, "Finish these two girls." Azuma missed. His gun was grabbed by Yuzuki. This girl blindly shot at Haruki. Her shoulder was hit. Ran grabbed her knuckle. With the last of her strength, Ran wanted to finish this guy. But she wasn't a killer. That's why Ran stopped her fist. The two sisters were reunited after the tragedy that had befallen them. The police were already there, led by Detective Handa. 6 months later, Yuzuki came to watch her sister's match, and Kamiya had also recovered. Ran Tachibana was back in the ring, restarting her career as an amateur boxer. With the sisters' lives back to normal again, the movie ended.